Before we start the story, we already have 69 subscribers, so please consider subscribing, thank you. Coco lives in a world of magic and fantastical creatures, where witches are the only people who could use magic, or so they wanted everyone to think. In a world brimming with magic, a young girl named Coco lived with her mother, who worked as a fabric dealer. Ever since her birth, she had always been fascinated by the magic in the world, and believed that witches are the coolest people in the world. All she ever wanted to be able to perform magic herself. But she knew that she was dreaming about something impossible, as her mother told her about it multiple times, that witches were born and not made. She was a hard-working girl who took all the fabric to a nearby pond to wash them by hand and make sure that they were perfect for the customer. Even the pond was blessed by a witch, as no matter what, the pond cleaned itself with magic so that humans can use it for washing clothes and even bathing, without corrupting the waters, which were also a life source for the animals living in the area. Coco returns back to her house after washing all the clothes and climbs on top of the roof to dry them out, while pretending to be a witch who knew how to make things fly. She suddenly notices a flying horse carriage right over her. She was delighted to see the magic in the air, but to her surprise and happiness, the carriage started descending near her house. She immediately gets excited and runs down the staircase to find her mom and tell her about it. But when she opens the door, she ends up bumping into a white-haired man who is trying to act like the discount Gojo Satoru. She immediately apologizes to him, and he smiles at her, claiming that it was his fault as he was standing at the wrong place. Before she could reply to anything, she overhears a bunch of women going over the fabric in the store for sale and discussing how they can't believe that they are getting such amazing fabrics in the middle of nowhere. Her heart fills up with joy as she wonders whether these are the people who came in the flying carriage. But Gojo tells her that he is not with them actually. Coco's mom tells her to stop standing there and help her with the customers. She then turns towards Gojo and asks what he wants. Gojo replies that he is looking for a specific smoke-colored fabric, but tells them that he can come back again if they are busy right now. Coco intervenes and tells him not to worry, as she can help him with the fabric. Gojo is a little surprised since Coco looks pretty young, but her mother tells him not to worry about it as he is in good hands. Coco immediately turns towards her mother and asks whether she can go outside and have a look at the flying carriage once she is done. And her mother immediately reminds her that she is not allowed to mess around with the property of their customers, but she promises that she is only going to look at it from afar and won't even go near. Her mother finally agrees, and Coco happily returns back to Gojo and takes the measurements from him before heading into the back room. She quickly finds the color of fabric that the man needed and lays it on the work desk before getting out her tools as she starts measuring the length of the fabric. She then takes out a wooden pencil dipped in charcoal and marks the end point before calming her breath down and creating a straight line with the charcoal in one go. With that done, she takes out the shears and uses them to cut the fabric perfectly straight in one go without skipping a single beat. She was so engrossed in her job that she didn't even notice that Gojo was standing there the entire time observing her as he picks up the fabric and claims that he is surprised and impressed by the incredible focus and steady hands that she possesses. There was no hesitation in her movements, and her finishing was precise and perfect. He claims that he had no idea that a village like this could be fostering such an incredibly skilled artisan, and calls her work magic. She wonders whether Gojo is trying to take her back to the Epstein's Island and tells him that her job is no magic, and it is just repetitive work, while magic is something pure and shiny, unbelievably beautiful, something so precious that she doesn't think there is any words to define that. Gojo feels the raw passion this girl has for magic and asks why she loves magic so much, and Coco replies that when she was just a little girl, her mother took her to a festival in the nearby city. Everything was beautiful there, and while following a butterfly, she ended up meeting a masked witch in a back alley. The witch asked her whether she is interested in magic, but back then she didn't really know what it was, so the witch showed her all the things that could be achieved by magic. She was awed by the beauty of the demonstration and immediately agreed to buy the magic book and the wand from the witch. Once she returned back to her mother, she showed her the book, and her mother wondered why she would spend her money on such useless items. Coco, however, was happy with her purchase and still in awe with the magic that she saw from the witch. She then told her mom that once she grows up, she will become a witch and use her magic to make the world a more vibrant place. Her mother, however, replies that what she is dreaming of is not possible, since you can't simply decide to be a witch and use magic. It's a power that you are born with, and unfortunately, it's not something that ordinary people like them can possess. Ever since that day, it had been her dream to be able to use magic, and no matter how much she knows that what she wants is impossible, she simply can't seem to let go of that dream. Gojo seemed interested and was about to speak, when suddenly they heard some voices coming from outside, and Coco immediately rushes out to see what the commotion was about. It turns out that the carriage overturned and fell over, while the driver was still trying to get his horses in control. Coco finds two of his friends on the scene, and they reveal that they were trying to have a closer look. But one of them ended up bumping their head on the carriage, which spooked the horses, and the carriage fell over. The women who the carriage belonged to were furious, claiming that it was their father's carriage. Coco's mother immediately apologized to them from the side of the boys, but the women claimed that her apology can't really fix their carriage, and without a carriage, they can't really head back home. Thankfully, Gojo was there and told the women to calm down so he could take a look at the carriage. The women tell him that this is not a simple carriage which a mechanic could fix. It is a magical carriage which her father bought for her on her birthday. Just then, Gojo pulls out a pointed cap from his cape, and immediately the voices from the women change into soft purrs, as they realize that Gojo is not an ordinary person, but a witch. The women beg him to have a look at the carriage, and Gojo immediately figures out that the problem is that a simple spell came undone and could be fixed easily. The problem is that he would need some place private to practice the spell, and without a second thought, Coco tells him to use the workshop, hoping that maybe she would be able to accompany him and finally see what casting a spell looks like. Unfortunately for her though, her plans come undone when Gojo tells her to stand guard outside the workshop as no one is allowed to come in. She wonders how magic is always around them, but no one has ever seen a witch perform magic, as the witches keep it as a proper secret which couldn't be known by mere humans. While she was brooding outside the cabin, she hears the sound of the boys once again, who climb on top of the roof in the hopes of peeking inside. But instead of stopping them, Coco ends up joining them, only to find out that the witch had already barred all the windows, so there is no way anyone could see inside. The boys get bored and climb down, but Coco had other ideas. She manages to get into the upper floor and grabs her magic book that she bought when she was young, and realizes that she can actually see inside. At first, she tries to follow the instructions, but her curiosity gets the better of her, and she peeks in only to be shocked to see that Gojo was enchanting any spells. In fact, he was using his pen to draw something on the wheel of the carriage. That's when she realizes that witches don't cast spells, they draw them into existence. Once Gojo was done, he starts moving outside to call Coco in, forcing Coco to make a run for it. By the time Gojo opens the front door to call Coco in, he finds her dirty and panting. Thankfully, the carriage ended up working properly and the women left. By the time evening fell, they were done with all the customers, and her mother turned towards her, claiming that she was a little scared that she would want to go off with that witch, and ever since losing her father to the disease, Coco is the only thing she has in this world, which she can't bear to lose. Coco replies that she would never leave her and hugs her tightly, before returning back home to have some warm dinner. Soon after that, they change into their nightgowns and say their goodnights as Coco walks upstairs to her room. Once inside, she quickly takes out the magic book and the wand that she had, and figures out that the wand is actually just a pen, and the picture book is actually a guide to make magical symbols. She quickly sits down at her table and starts drawing the design on the page onto a rough sheet of parchment. After a while, she manages to make the design roughly, but doesn't notice that the circle wasn't completed yet. Just when she thought that it was a long shot anyways, a bit of ink drops from her pen and completes the circle. Immediately, sparks start flying out of the paper, completely awing her, and she starts bouncing up and down with joy, realizing that she just performed real-life magic. That was the start though, as she immediately starts trying all the different sorts of magical symbols from the book, and even manages to start a fire on her paper. After several tries, she starts getting the hang of it, and realizes that the bigger the drawing, the more powerful the spell is, and the neater drawings produce spells that last much longer. But being able to draw big and neat is pretty difficult. She comes up with a plan to trace the drawings, as that is much easier to do compared to copying it. So she turns a new page and starts tracing the new pattern. Suddenly, unbeknownst to her, darkness starts spreading behind her, and just as she completes her spell, someone grabs her from behind and jumps out the window. It turns out to be Gojo, who looks terrified and asks which spell did she just use. Coco is scared and replies that she has no idea, while Gojo continues flying in the air. Suddenly, he hears Coco's mom woken up by the ruckus and notices the entire house is turning into an icy crystal. Gojo realizes horrified that Coco just tapped into forbidden magic, but he didn't have enough time to warn her mom, who turns into a crystal alongside the house. Coco loses all control and starts kicking the witch to let her go so she could help her mother. While Gojo struggles to grab her since he can't let her go in the air, Coco, however, manages to kick herself free and would have died for it, if not for Gojo saving her at the very last second from becoming a pancake. Coco, however, is beyond terrified and doesn't care about anything as she rushes straight at her mother. She would have gotten turned into a crystal as well, but Gojo picked her up at the last moment and took off into the air once again. Coco cries relentlessly, apologizing for using magic as she didn't know what would happen, and Gojo believes her. He claims that it was all kept a secret from the masses to prevent tragedies like this. All a person need to do magic is a special ink and a set of casting seals. That's all needed to perform magic. But the one great rule amongst the witches is to never reveal that information to anyone. Since now Coco knows the truth, he has no option but to remove her memories, but Coco begs him not to, as if she forgets about everything. How will she save her mom? She claims that she knows all the drawings by heart and all she wants is to save her mother. Gojo suddenly realizes that the person who sold her this book might be one of the evil gangs of witches who are working against the witches, and realizes that this girl's memories might link one of the members to the gang. Coco asks whether they could save her mother if they find out who sold her the book, and Gojo replies that there is a small chance of saving her that way. And Coco begs her not to erase her memories, as she would do anything to save her mom. Gojo asks whether she will always keep this magic a secret, and Coco agrees. He then asks whether she is going to try her best to learn, and Coco gets surprised. Gojo reveals that if she is going to have the knowledge, it's best that she learns how to control magic. That's the series end for now, but here are some of other videos that you'll definitely enjoy, so I'll put them on the screen, and once again, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you.